Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Unchained Hearts, and I'm here on Soma Fusion Mind, Body, and Soul with my producer, Katie Kimeri. And guess what? Today we have a very special guest. He's actually a rock star. It's a very, very big deal. His name is Kevin Estrella. Welcome, Kevin.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're
Glad to be
welcome.
here.
Thank you. I'm going to read a little bit of your bio so that the people can understand a little bit more about you, and then I'll let you have at it, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. So Kevin Estrella has been welcomed deep into the UFO community after having his own firsthand encounter with something not of this world. Kevin is a guitarist, a composer of the instrumental rock band Pyramids of Mars, a combination of elements of hard rock, industrial, and metal infused with lead guitar melodies inspired by violin melodies of Baroque classical composers such as J.S. Bach and Antonio Vivaldi. Kevin has always had a passion for UFOs, extraterrestrials. He spent over 20 years researching. And then here we have Kevin wanted to combine his passion of music with raising consciousness and awareness of the UFO and extraterrestrial presence. He felt it was always his purpose in life. This calling was affirmed on August 21st, 2014, when he had contact with an interdimensional craft, can't wait to hear about that, of unearthly origin. Since then, Kevin began experiencing many other related incidents like incredible synchronicities, music downloads, symbol downloads through dreams, neck illusions, DNA, double helix design on his guitar, wow, and increased telepathy. His musical downloads are discussed in UFO researchers Grant Cameron's book, Tune In, the Paranormal World of Music. Many of Kevin's personal CE5 encounters are discussed in Inviting ET by Sue Walker. Kevin has become very involved with Sandia Wisdom on Twitter, extraterrestrials using Twitter who reside in a complex under the Sandia Mountains of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I have a lot of experiences under there too. It's crazy. He works very closely with the Sandia ETs. Sandia has given Kevin several upgrades and downloads and has visits from them on a weekly basis. Kevin has been a featured guest on over 60 UFO radio talk shows. Welcome, Kevin. I'm very happy to have you, especially with what I just read about the violin. I've been playing the violin since I was in 4th grade and professionally, mariachi, everything. So for you to actually incorporate your guitar with the violin and Vivaldi, of course, I played, his music and Bach. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, to kind of touch on that in regards to my musical influences. I mean, like, I have a lot of rock influences that are the foundation of my music, but my musical inspiration and guitar voice actually comes from the violin. So I was a huge fan of guitarist Yngwie Malmsteen and was introduced to him when I was 16 or 17 and always had been a fan. But there was a period where I spent 2 years studying his style to learn how to play in his style. But I wanted not to become an Yngwie Malmsteen clone. I wanted to, I realized I had to listen to his influences. Then I started listening to Bach and Vivaldi. And then my life just changed after that. And I spent another 6 or 7 years just listening to nothing but Bach and Vivaldi. And I was really attracted to the violin and violin melodies. And that is more the inspiration for what I write on the guitar. And it just continues to get more involved with that. So I really don't listen to guitar players anymore for inspiration. I'm thinking, when I'm doing melodic lines, I'm thinking more on the lines of what would Vivaldi play? That's really where I think is, how would Vivaldi play this? And that would be where my inspiration comes with, how I interpret the guitar and what I play on the guitar melodically. But it also comes down to the teachings of my Ponte friends here, as you can see in the back. This is Tilcomb. He's the commander of the Ponte, and they reside in the base in Sandia, underneath the Sandia Mountains in Albuquerque. There's a base that's 2 miles underneath the ground, and a complex that's been there for at least 50 or 60,000 years. It actually used to be a human development, but it was abandoned 50 or 60,000 years ago. They only use 10% of the actual complex. It's a series of caves that run underneath the Sandia Mountains, deep underground. But I was introduced, I met them on Twitter 5 years ago, and I'll get into more about that later on. But the point is that they've taught me a lot in regards to melodic playing and communicating music at a telepathic level, and also incorporating tonal language into my music, the elements of tonal language, because one of the Ponte who came to Earth about 3 years ago, her name is Thera, and I'm very close with her, and she taught me, she's actually an expert in the tonal language of the cetaceans, so the language of the whales and the dolphins, and they speak a very complex telepathic tonal language. The whales are very important to this planet. In fact, there are star nations, I don't call them extraterrestrial, I call them star nations. We've only seen about maybe 25% of the star nations who actually visit the Earth, because 75% of the world is covered in water. And that's where the other 75% of the star nations are. They're aquatic nations. And they come from all over, not to visit us, they don't care about us, they come to go and visit the whales, because the whales have stories, they carry the ancient knowledge of this planet. The whales are so important to this galaxy, you have no idea. It just blows my mind. And so, you know, Thera has taught me certain things about tonal language. And that song that you so like so much, Nahuatl, which I wrote for Penny Bradley, which she uses for her show, that song actually incorporates tonal language in that song. And I might as well jump to the story and tell you what happened. So it was about 3 years ago, and I had asked Thera, okay, Thera, I really want to learn this tonal language of the whales. Is it possible? And she said yes. And so there was one day where I woke up and I went to work, and then I was feeling extremely tired. And I realized that they had come the night before and gave me a massive download. And I know when they've given me downloads, because the symptoms are always the same. I become extremely tired and I need to take a reboot nap. But this particular download, it took me 3 days to recover from it. 3 days of sleeping, like once I get to home from work and dropping into a reboot nap. And I was exhausted. And so I contacted Sue, the telepath for Sandia, and I said, what was that? What happened? What did they give me? What is this? And then it was Teeny. Teeny was talking to Sue, and Teeny wanted to talk to me. And she said, well, you wanted the tonal language. We gave you the beginner's course. And I'm just like, oh my God, the beginner's course? It was so massive. 3 days of recovery from this massive download. It was like literally putting a whale brain inside, stuffing it in my head. Long and short, they gave me instructions in regards to how to unlock this download, like to unzip it basically. It would take me 9 months before something actually happened. And so I was working on the song Nahuatl, and I needed to work on the main melody of the song. And so I had it on looping, and I was playing it, and I kept playing it and working at it until it came from the depth of my soul and the depth of something else deep within the universe that was connecting with the edge of the black, and until it synchronized. I knew that what I was playing was the correct, what I was supposed to play, and I recorded the demo. 20 minutes after I recorded the demo, I get a text message from Sue. Sue said, Kevin, I was just contacted by Teeny and Thera. They just told me they heard you playing your guitar telepathically 2,000 miles away, and you were playing tonal language. congratulations, you broke the code. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And they said, yeah, I was playing to the ripple and I was playing in a tonal language. Now this is where it gets really amazing. So I finished recording Nafwafin. Song's mixed, mastered, and done. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm listening to it. And after the sixth listen, because if you listen to the melody, it's da 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 da. And so after the sixth listen, all of a sudden I had a sudden knowing, and I heard an interpretation. I stood up and I screamed, oh my God, I'm saying, do you hear me? The melody that I was playing on the guitar had a translation and it was saying, do you hear me? I messaged Sue right away and I said, oh my God, that melody that I recorded a couple days ago, there's a translation. It says, do you hear me? And then Sue responded back, I'm hearing cheering coming from the Sandia Mountain. You're right. And not only that, but they sent the message back to the aquatic stations over in New Zealand. And I just put my head on my desk and I cried. It was like probably the most profound moment of my life. I never expected anything like that to happen. And it blew my mind that what I was playing on the guitar was actually tonal language. So that song Nafwafin has a lot of meaning to me, and it's very important, and it's probably going to go down very historically as a very important song. So I just had to share that story about about what happened. But I know I'm really jumping ahead. I'm going to try and backtrack a bit to give a little bit of history about who I am and what the heck is it I'm doing. I'm the guitarist of the instrumental rock band Pyramids on Mars. So you can find me at pyramidsonmars.com. My music is very similar to guitarists like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai. So, but more along the lines of Joe Satriani. So it's instrumental rock, but I have more classical influence than he's more of a blues influence. But that's the passion of the music that I do. So it's instrumental, but the guitar melodies is what speaks. That's what speaks is the guitar melodies, and that's the direction I go. However, it's very tied to my extraterrestrial experiences because I'm a starseed, and I know that I'm a starseed. I discovered this back in 2014, and it's kind of like when you reverse engineer your life. When you felt like what your purpose was in life, and then all of a sudden it's affirmed, and I realized that I was a starseed, and that's where I realized where I am and why I do what I do on this planet, and the reason why I'm here. So I'm here to to help raise awareness and consciousness on the planet of our extraterrestrial family, and to help prepare for official first contact, to help 8 billion souls get ready for official first contact. So it's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility, and I take it very seriously. But to get back to how I reverse engineered my life, I had always had a passion for extraterrestrials that really started when I was in university, when I was 18 years old, and that's going back to like 1992, 94. And I spent a lot of time reading Bud Hopkins books on extraterrestrials, abductions and stuff. And, the movie Communion really inspired me. I found that very inspirational. And I just spent years, studying, ETs. And it got to a point where around the year 2000, where I was just saying, look, I want to help. I want to help bring the extraterrestrial awareness to planet Earth. I feel like that's my calling. That's why I'm here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Tell me, what do I have to do? I'm ready. Well, the thing was, I may have been consciously aware and ready, but my time was not right yet. I had to wait until the year 2014 for things to happen. And so in 2014, there was already some incredible synchronicities that were taking place. because I had already written my first album, Pyramids on Mars. And I had discovered that I had extrasensory perception or telepathy, and it was infusing in the music that I was writing because I was having lots of ESP moments that really made me realize that I had more extrasensory powers than I realized. But then August 21st, 2014 would be the day that changed my life. And so I went out onto my deck. It was like 10:30 at night on that night, and from behind my neighbor's tree appeared this craft, and it was only like maybe 100 yards away. It was really, really close. And at first, when I saw it, I thought it was a meteor because it was orangish red, glowing like coals, and it looked like it had smoke coming off the top of it and along the bottom of it, and it came out from right behind this tree. And I'm looking at it, and I realized, wait, that's not a meteor. That's moving really slow, and that is really close. What the heck is that? I didn't know what I was looking at. And it was, as I said, it was like it was waiting for me to come outside. Like I came literally onto the deck, and it was right behind a tree. It wasn't, in behind the tree over on one side or in front of the tree. It was right behind this tree, and then it waited for me to come out. And then it's moving across my backyard, at the speed of a helicopter. It made no sound whatsoever. And in fact, actually, it almost sounded like time had stopped because there was no sound, literally no sound. Like I couldn't even hear the wind. I couldn't hear anything. It was like silence, deafening silence as this thing appeared and floated across my backyard and then turned and then moved away. And then it just blew my mind. Like it took me 6 months to realize what I was actually looking at. This object was covered in plasma, and that's what gave it that glowing red orangish look. But as it turned away from me and it had its butt end towards me, the ship was actually more oblong. So it was like a disc. It looked like a disc, but it was orangish red. It was only two-dimensional. It had no depth. It just looked like a hole in the sky. And then when it turned, it had no light whatsoever. It was completely black. It had no light, and it was oblong, almost like a football. And it moved across the sky. So I filled out a report to MUFON, and it would be almost a year later before I would actually get answers. And that's where life really changed for me, and that's where my awakening really took place. Was the Alien Cosmic Expo of 2015, I think it was. Yeah, it was 2015, the first Alien Cosmic Expo in Brantford. And so what happened was there was a newspaper article that was talking about the first UFO conference in Ontario, and it was talking about who was presenting. It's a big article that this paper had. And then I looked at one of the articles, when I looked at it, and it was Grant Cameron was doing a presentation. And they were talking about how popular he is as a UFO researcher from Winnipeg. But when I saw what his presentation was on, that's when the hairs of my arm stood on end. And his presentation was extraterrestrials and musicians, and why musicians are being contacted by extraterrestrials to help raise awareness and consciousness on the planet. And I was just like, oh my God, this is about me. This is what I'm doing, because I had already released my first Pyramids on Mars album, and my music is very tied to trying to raise consciousness of the planet, of the ET presence, Pyramids on Mars. And here it is, this crazy synchronicity that took place, and I was just blown away. I was shocked. It was just like I was being called to see him. I was supposed to go and see him. It was the most freakiest thing ever happened to me in my life. I mean, all of a sudden somebody's doing a UFO presentation, and musicians are being contacted by ETs, and I had this experience. And so
Kevin, sorry to interrupt. Were you abducted do you think you were abducted, taken on the ship when the ship presented it to yourself? You know what I mean? When the ship came to
yeah,
you?
not during that event.
Okay.
That event. There was an event that took place in the year 2000 up in Huntsville, Ontario, in the cottage country that did happen. That did happen. Okay, but that's another story to talk about. But that was the first time that something strange happened. My friend who was with me, he also experienced the exact same thing. He was with me when it happened, and basically this object came flying at us at a very fast speed. We were in the lake, and it was a full moon and stars in the sky, and all of a sudden we hear this burning sensation, this fire, and we look up and we see this flaming circular thing look like the moon was falling out of the sky. It was only 1,000 feet above us, and we could hear the flames shooting, this sound, and all of a sudden there was a flash, and it was gone. And we're standing there going, what was that? What just happened there? It was like we finally had a UFO experience. We think it was a UFO experience. We're watching this thing happen, and all of a sudden it's coming right towards us. It's gonna land on our heads, and then there's a flash and it's gone. And what we finally realized was that something happened and we had experienced missing time. So it was like it was like a bad movie edit where you're watching the movie, the best part of the movie is coming up, and somebody hits the next chapter button on the movie and it's to the next chapter. That's what happened. And we're just like, what the heck has happened? Was that a UFO? I don't know. We never talked about it again. It'd be 10 years later when I started to question it and realize what had happened and figure it out. Oh, I was abducted and we had missing time. There you go. But anyway, getting back.
But you don't remember anything at all, like being like, just being taken to a room or whatever? Nothing yet, huh?
I've been picked up by the Ponte probably 2 or 3 dozen times. And I've got other experiencers who remember seeing me back at the Sandia complex saying, yeah, I saw you there, and you were wearing a purple dress shirt with one of your black Ponte shirts. And the thing is that all that entire week, that's what I was wearing around my apartment, was a purple dress shirt with a black shirt. How did he know what I wore? And confirming that he saw me at the Sandia Mountain complex. So I have that. I've found strange anomalies in my bed, waking up in the morning, really weird stuff. I documented and saved everything. It's all kept. Things from, strange things that look like seeds, but they're not seeds, to something that looks like, it feels like a scab, but it looks more like a tooth. It's some kind of organic anomaly, which I do not know what it is, but it's undocumented. And sometimes I've woken up with like sand, like red dust in my bed. Like it looks like I was like in New Mexico red dust. So my pillow's all covered in red dust and stuff. It's, I collect all this stuff. I found like shards of small, it's like obsidian glass, like black glass in my bed. And where's this stuff come from? Like, I live in Canada, we don't have this stuff. And I wake up with it and I'm covered in it underneath me. So I've been picked up by the Ponte many, many times, but all the memories are suppressed. I can't remember any of them. So, which that kind of sucks. But it's not that I haven't been able to, I've been allowed to recall some memories and some visitations of the Ponte, which I might get into a bit later on. But did you have any other questions? So there's so many tangents I can go on. I know we're short for time.
Oh, you can keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I know you have to get back to your story. But I just had one question before we go on. Have you had any memories or dreams of being with whales or dolphins as a child, perhaps? Like, I was with them since I was a child. I'm a hybrid dolphin, and I have many memories of being with the dolphin and the whales, communicating with them, and also teaching other children how to communicate with the whales and dolphins. And you're right, once you connect with them, your heart just, it's an explosion of love, because that's pretty much what they're made of. And they don't have time for BS, you know what I mean? It's like, No, we're here to love, and to show people what we're here for. I've had just many telepathic communications with them. Just two mornings ago, I woke up and I was on the freeway, and then it turned into like the ocean, and then I jumped with the dolphins, and they were all in a circle, and they had their little, tails together in a circle. And then they had these little munchkins. They have like these little friends that are with them all the time, and they're laughing and telling me stories. I'm like, you guys are funny, and it's just pure love. And they pretty much tell me, I've seen the 13 crystal cities, I've seen the portals, I've been through the portals myself, underground, on planet, off planet, and it's just amazing, their energy, and I feel them right now. So do you have like something similar like that perhaps, or maybe, in your dreams?
Not necessarily dreams, but I'm going to make a conscious effort to have dolphins visit me in my dreams. However, I recently wrote a new song that it's called A Dolphin's Paradise. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear that one.
I had actually was sending it to you tonight and thought we could play it, but I didn't think we'd have the ability to play it. But I will send it to you. And it was written in one take, completely came all together, the entire song. And it's called Fira's Theme, A Dolphin's Paradise. And when you listen, you can hear, you can see the dolphins playing. You can see them, you can hear them. It's all in there when you hear the song. It's a beautiful song. It just carries you on a journey. It's just that's what my music is about. It's about telling a story,
I would love to hear it, and then I don't know, maybe I can jam on it on the violin, just for me, not for anybody else. Just that's just the way I communicate also with them. And
violin song would sound amazing. Yeah. Well, just to keep in mind, you'll have to tune your violin to 432 hertz.
Yeah, I can already hear it in my mind. Yep, you're right, because it's pretty high up there.
But yeah, it's a beautiful song, so I will send it to you, and you can check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah. But when I had that experience with the writing Knopf and playing in a tonal language, that really changed my life. And there's another song as well. It's not the only one. There's a song I wrote. It's the last song on my CD, Edge of the Black, and the song is called The Whale Song. And that was a channel. That was channeled, and it's probably the most painful song I've ever written. It took everything out of me to record, and it's a great bard, and she's calling her children home. But when she's calling, there's this call that she keeps repeating, this ooh sound. And I had a friend, her name's Jamie Barrington, and she actually got a download and a translation of what was going on there. And what it is that mother whale, there's a song about her that she's tired, she's calling her children home. It's time to come home, because she wants to leave this planet and go to a better place. But she's imitating the call of the wolves, calling her children home. And that's what it is. It's a wolf call.
I actually got goosebumps, and that's what I felt. I totally saw her crying from within, like I'm tired. Let's go. It's time. And that's sometimes how I feel too. It's like I just want to go home, But yeah, go ahead. I'm getting all emotional because I felt her. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what this song is about. It's about her calling her children home, and she keeps. It's this long whale call, this calling that sounds like a wolf, and that's what I heard, and I imitated it, on the guitar, and it came out. It turned out really well. What's really kind of cool about that was I'm not sure if you know Hale Mednick. Do you know Hale Mednick? Okay, he's he's put out a lot of, he's a movie producer, and he's put out a lot of movies about the Ascension. He also has a lot of, he's very connected to the Sasquatch. And when he did the Ascension video, there's a section in it where they actually are playing my song, the whale song, and they have like, they show whales during this part of the movie. But what they played, because I mistakenly sent him the wrong copy of the whale song. I sent him the original demo, which I recorded on my cell phone when I first just laid it down, the really raw recording. And I was like, oh no, we played the wrong one. You didn't get the studio version. And then he told me that the Sasquatch preferred the raw version better. So I'm like, okay. So I'm not going to argue. That's fine. But sometimes we're, you know, but I've had some incredible experiences with, extraterrestrial visits. The Ponte have visited me several times, and they've been amazing teachers. They've given me enhancements. They've given me upgrades. They've given me a physical upgrade one time, which happened to be, I woke up one morning to the feeling of liquid draining out of my left ear. And it was really annoying. And I rubbed my ear, and I'm just like, what the heck was that? It felt like, water in your ear after you've gone swimming, but I hadn't been swimming. So I was trying to figure out what that was all about. Well, it was later that evening when I got home from work, and I went to walk over to my desk, and I noticed that one of my statues on my wall was facing the wall. And I'm like, why is that facing the wall? And then I remembered Sue Walker, who told me 2 weeks ago. She said, you're on the schedule for a visit. You'll know you've been visited if something's out of place. And then I realized that they had been there the night before. And then I was talking to my friend Kale, and he was talking about a procedure that was done to him just the day before. And then all of a sudden I started putting the two together, like the procedure. He says, yeah, something about removing black goo. And I'm like, removing black goo? Wait a second. And so then I went up to my pillow, and here on my pillow is this orangish red stain where my ear was. And I'm like, I told him about it. He said, oh yes, thank you for reminding me about that. Yes, they said that, that the liquid that they put inside us, the last part that would come out of our ear. So I'm like, are you kidding me? They said, no. And so he had a procedure done to him the same time as I did. And it took about 7 days for the procedure to finish what it was doing. And my body was exfoliating metals and toxins from my body for several days. Like my urine smelled like ammonia. It was horrid. It's like, what is my body doing? It's exfoliating all this stuff. And then after the 7th day, all of a sudden my consciousness was totally opened up, and I was able to access parts of my brain I was never able to access before. It was like I went from like a head being full of clogged guck to full consciousness, being able to access my entire brain. I had never felt like this ever in my entire life. And I never realized how much poisons they purposely put in our food and these metals to actually turn us into living zombies. And they've been doing this to us for years. They must have, uncalcified my pineal gland. They got rid of all the fluoride and all the rest of the heavy metals that have built up inside our brains from all the toxins they put in our food. So they did that procedure once, and then after a month, they repeated the procedure because once again I had another stain on my pillow. And then after that clearing, my head was even more clear, and I had a constant connection to the collective consciousness where my brain feels very attached to everything. So that's really helped with my telepathy, not with my listening telepathy. I still have a hard time hearing the Ponte, but my projection of my music, they can hear me, no problems. And that's why they say when they hear me playing my guitar telepathically, they hear me, and I'm playing to the collective consciousness. I'm playing to the universe when I'm playing my music because I'm projecting it so much better now. It's like they've put a satellite built into my projects now.
Yeah, I've woken up many times when I'm in full orchestra playing my violin, or just in my mind. And I can play concertos backward, forward, movies backward, forward. I'm cleaning and I may have no music on, but in my mind, I'm playing Brandenburg or something, or Vivaldi, the Four Seasons. It's amazing what our brain can do once you, we'll say, activate your DNA or decalcify the pineal gland. So I'm very happy for you because I know how it is. You're always right. You're always thinking of things and getting downloads, even when you're not asking consciously. It's like they're always coming, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, they've given me so many downloads, where I've woken up and like my head's all cloggy, like soggy cotton. And I don't know what's happened or what they did, but I'm very appreciative of all that they do. But I've also, I'm appreciative of their visitations. And I've had multiple visitations from different star nations over the years who've visited me. I've they usually come in a lucid dream state. So, but then what happens is I'll sleep a full night and I'll wake up around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'll try and get back to sleep. And then it's during that period of time where they will induce me into an altered state. And then it's like I'm basically having an interaction with them like I'm awake. So it's like I'll be, in my bed talking to them, and I'm able to touch them, and I can feel their skin temperature and stuff like that. And it's like interacting with them like if you're awake, but you're not. You're in this altered state. And so I've had visitations. First time was actually with from a reptilian female, and that was pretty damn wild. I mean, I remember trying to go back to sleep, and when I was half asleep, I could hear my bed sheets ruffling, like somebody was moving my bed sheets around. And then I wake up and the sound was gone. And then I try and go back to sleep again. All of a sudden, I can hear the bed sheets ruffling again, and I realized that there was somebody there. And then I eventually just let myself, relax enough, and then all of a sudden, it's just like she kicked me into this altered state, and then I met her, and she was quite amazing looking. I mean, she had the greenish scales on her face. She had blue scales along her neck line that kind of went over where her ears were. Her head was kind of bulbous, like it looked like a clove of garlic. So big bulb here, big bulb here, big bulb here. Her head was very large, and she had this blue mohawk. I'm not kidding. She had a blue mohawk. And then she took her hand, and she had 3 fingers, and she had, very long claws. She's holding my hand like this, and then she puts my middle finger in her mouth and slides it across her bottom tooth. She had 1 tooth. So
how did it feel? Was it sharp?
it razor sharp. It was razor sharp. And I was just like, trying to figure out what was going on. That was pretty damn wild. And then I end up waking up. But that's what she did. It was quite something. But I mean, I had a visitation from her. The Ponte have visited in like where I wasn't asleep, but I wasn't awake. I was just kind of like in this lowered state. And then I'll feel a hand, their hand will rest on my shoulder or something like that. Just them letting me know that they're there. I'll feel they'll touch me. And they did that here too, like not that long ago, where I wasn't like I was trying to get back to sleep, but I wasn't. I was in this altered state, lower consciousness, like alpha theta, and I could feel 6 pairs of hands resting on me, and they were kind of brushing my arm and stuff. And I remember hearing one of them telepathically saying he's not quite asleep yet. And then I just remember this feeling that I had because I was feeling what they were feeling, and it was the feeling of your family. You're one of us. You belong. We're all family here. You belong with us. And I'll never forget that feeling. It was a very complex emotion, and I just felt like I was one with them and that I felt like we were family. And I think they did that because I was feeling pretty alone and they just wanted to reassure me. And that was just amazing. And then the next thing I do, I hear them running in and out of my bedroom. I could hear like their feet, like they're moving really fast. It sounded like rain hitting a tin foil, a tin roof. That's how fast they're moving around my bedroom. And then I heard one of them go over to the corner of my room and they picked up my didgeridoo that was in the corner. I guess they were checking it out, but I could hear them doing that. And then I wake up and it's all gone. So it was pretty wild. Yeah, that's one visit from them.
Yes, I can relate. I have two cats and I know when it's my cats jumping, but I've had a few times where I'm like, that's not them. And at first I was like, nah, now I can't sleep. But then now I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, take me, where are we going now? And but I do understand that the thing about having your family with you and um just interacting with them and just being with them on like you say, like a lucid dream. And the thing with me though, I still have a really hard time sleeping. I have really bad chronic PTSD. So I will be so exhausted and maybe I'll sleep like half an hour, tops 45 minutes, and then I wake myself up in a panic. I'm always like, where am I? Where am I? And this happened since the incident that I had in 2010, but it's I've gotten to the point where if I don't want contact from, we'll say, the bad or the evil, I will wake up myself. I'll sometimes they'll be like, come here, let's go here. They'll send children like to distract me, or yeah, we're just gonna go to the ocean. They know I love the ocean. So I'll either fly or go down to the ocean to be with my family. And then I'll dream, dream on, meaning, or I'll travel. Either they'll take me physically or consciously, but it is very disturbing. I don't know if it's happened to you where you're trying to get sleep and you just know that it's like the wrong entities that are trying to take you for experimentation or whatever. Has that happened to you where, or do you just sleep really peacefully? How is your sleep pattern?
For the most part, like my place is very protected. I've got crystals, a crystal line structure throughout this place. I got obelisk crystal over here. I've got selenite along the window, and I got a ancient crystal in the back. And I've set intentions to create a space of protection. So um, I have that. There was one time though where I was attacked by something, and it just happened to be a night that I had sent out a telepathic you know warning saying that like this area is protected and no bad entities are allowed in here. Well, I think there was an entity that was just letting me know that, well, you're not as protected as you think you are, and they pushed. I was asleep and they were pressing on a part in my body that caused extreme pain, and it forced me to wake up. So I was like, "Ow! Stop that! Stop that! Stop that!" And they pushed really hard, and then when I woke up, the pain was gone. They had stopped pressing, but something had physically pushed, physically hurt me, to let me know that you're not as protected as you think you are. So yeah.
Yeah, I do understand. I have salts in my doorway. I have crystals. And my place is very protected too and very serene. Everybody that comes to visit, they say, "Wow, this is so peaceful." And I said, because I want it to be a protected place for not just me, my children, but for whoever visits. And then when I put my salt, I always say, the low frequency, bad entities are not allowed. But I do understand, it's kind of like, because we know who we are, they kind of try to poke fun, like, oh, let's see if you can resist this, or they're to me, I just feel like they want to test us, just to to remind us, well, you're human, you're in a human body or whatever. And it's like, just stop messing with us. We already know who we are. We're sovereign beings. We have our star family. We are star seeds, warriors that come to pretty much hold the grid and help save Mother Earth too. So,
Yeah.
but thank you for that. And I was gonna ask you the Ponte, where are they from? Have they told you where they're from? The one on the top, the picture that you have there, she or he, it feels like a female and it feels like a dolphin. But I don't know, I could be wrong. Or how do you see
On the top,
one?
that's Rudy, and she's female, yes. And then she's also on my shirt. Can you see her on my shirt here?
Oh, she's beautiful, yes. Very
Yeah.
beautiful.
She's on my shirt as well.
I like your
It says-
dragon. I'm a dragon too.
Thank
I
you.
love dragons.
I have a connection to dragons. Want me to explain it to you? It's freaking wild.
Yes,
It's
'cause
wild.
I'm a dragon too, so I would love to hear your story.
Okay, so it was the Alien Cosmic Expo 2017, I think it was. And a friend of mine, he builds these pyramids that you can meditate in. And so he was doing a healing with me, a chakra alignment. And he had to pull me out of it because my energies were getting so high that I was like, my head was spinning. And so, but he did a really good job of this. And so I decided to take a break from it and go to the presentations that were going on. And Ryan Stacy from MUFON was doing a presentation on a case that he was working on in Burlington here of a woman and a daughter who had some strange extraterrestrial visitors and maybe some abductions. And so while I'm sitting there listening to him, I could feel my energies, my chakras were lining up. And then all of a sudden I felt like a waterfall of light that was flowing through my body and flowing onto the floor. I never felt so open and connected the way I was. And I think this gave someone an opportunity. So when he was doing his presentation, he said, I asked the daughter, to draw pictures of the entities that she saw. And you should be careful what you ask for because look what she drew. And then he puts up this picture that her daughter had drawn, which was of this reptilian with red scales and wings. And I had never seen a reptilian like that before in my life, but I already knew what it was. I knew that was an Alpha Draconian. How did I know this? I don't know. I just happened to know that was an Alpha Draconian. And so then the next thing Ryan did was he put a picture of a gargoyle and started comparing the Alpha Draconian to gargoyles. And then he was talking about demons and angels and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, this is a cosmic prejudiceness, like, why are you like comparing this Alpha Draconian to like gargoyles and demons? I'm like, this is not right. And I wanted to say something, but I didn't. And so then he went through his presentation and then he came back to that image again of that reptilian. And then he was doing the same thing. And I was like, I wanted to say something, but I was biting my tongue. And then there was almost like this voice that spoke to me and said, well, if you're not going to say something, I am. And then all of a sudden this energy came inside me, like boom. And all of a sudden I was like, I almost threw up. It was that powerful. I went, excuse me. And then Ryan put up his, like, he let me talk. And then I said, and as I was talking to him, all of a sudden my voice started to drop really low when I'm talking to him like this. And I couldn't control my voice. And I was talking like this. And all of a sudden I feel my back felt like I felt like the Incredible Hulk. I felt like I was 16 feet tall. I felt huge. And I felt these huge things in between my shoulder blades. And I'm talking to him and I'm saying, look, this is an Alpha Draconian. What you can't call someone good or evil based upon their looks. That's a cosmic prejudiceness. You have to, judge someone on the individual. And I said, these are my people. And there are many of us in the room and we are listening. And so then all of a sudden he dropped his presentation, said, okay, thanks, I'm good. I'm done, bye. and he packed everything up. And then all of a sudden, I'm like starting to come to, and because I was really dizzy, it was like 25% me and it was 75% him. And I realized that I had become a telepathic channeler for an Alpha Draconian. And he let me experience what it felt like to be him. I felt 16 feet tall. I had wings. I felt wings on my back. My back felt electrified. I felt incredible. Now I know what a dragon feels like, but his body was incredible. And then all of a sudden I'm surrounded by 13 people and they're all shaking, going, "Oh my God, who is that? What just happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You tell me what happened." And then Joanne Eady, who's running the whole Alien Cosmic Expo, she came onto the podium. She looked at me. She said, "Kevin, that wasn't you talking." And I'm just like, "What happened?" And so this happened like in front of 200 people. And I know there's a video that I know it's captured somewhere, but this is what happened to me. I actually telepathically merged with the Alpha Draconian. But this is the key. It's what I said. I said, "These are my people and we are listening." I didn't say these are his people and they're listening. I said, "These are my people." And I realized that, and I found this much out later on, that yes, I've had past lives and I was an Alpha Draconian in past life. I've had reptilian connections to past life on Egypt. And that was confirmed by Elizabeth April. So that's a long haul story. And I had confirmation from another extraterrestrial who confirmed that what Elizabeth April had said was true and accurate, but that she was not allowed to comment on it. She couldn't talk about it. She was not allowed. But she was only able to say this tall white that I was able to speak to. She confirmed that what that I was a reptilian in ancient Egypt. So these are the crazy things you find out about your past lives.
I wouldn't mind listening if you have a little bit of time.
I have time. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So, how did you just like book a session, like a remote viewing, like a hypnosis thing, or she just told you in a reading, or you saw yourself also in a memory or dream, as far as you being, because when you know, I'm not questioning you because I know that I am an Alpha Draco also. And I have 6 dragons that protect me, plus my 2 angels that everybody knows who they are right now, but or dragons. So,
Yes.
and I'm sure you can also, not only you also feel yourself very dominant, very, once you know who you are, nothing can really like stop you. But how did you like come about yourself to figure out this about you and Egypt and the connection and the past lives and all that?
Well, it was Elizabeth April who did a channeling reading on me. And then she was telling me about that I had a past life in Egypt, but that I was not human, that I was a reptilian general. And there's more to it than that. And she gave me information about it. And I took it with a grain of salt. I took it like, if I went to go see a fortune teller and they tell me my future, it's like, okay, sure, whatever. And I didn't really believe any of it. But it wasn't until I was talking to my friend he's telepathically connected to this tall white, who he was the translator for her, and he was translating, and I was asking her a bunch of questions, and I said, "Look, somebody told me about this and this, and they said that this happened and that I was, a reptilian in ancient Egypt. Is there any truth to that?" And then he came back and she says, "Yes, it's true." I'm like, "What?" She says, "Yes, it's true, but she can't talk about it." I'm like, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, she says that it involves someone else." And I'm like, "Who?" And he said, someone by the name of April. And I hadn't told him, Elizabeth April's name at that point. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my effing God. It's real. It's true. How did she know about Elizabeth April? And so then I called up Elizabeth and I said, Elizabeth, we have to get together and talk because this is what happened. And someone just confirmed that what you said is valid and true. And then she said, yeah, we do have to talk because there's more to the story than just that. And so she and I met and we had a long talk about it. So, and I can't get into any more details than that. But that's when I realized that, okay, yeah, I was reptilian back in ancient Egypt. But it was when I did a lot of thinking about what happened with that Alpha Draconian at the Alien Cosmic Expo, analyzing and really critically analyzing what I said, why I said it, and how was it that I was able to know that that picture that woman drew was an Alpha Draconian, because I'd never seen an Alpha Draconian before. And then I started doing research on the internet and pulling up stuff on Alpha Draconians to confirm that what I thought was real actually was verified, and that was what they looked like. So I was like, how did I know this stuff? And then I finally realizing that when I was speaking, that I was talking from the point of view of both of us. And I was saying, these are my people and we are listening, therefore my people. And so I've grown a very deep affiliation and appreciation for the reptilian races. And you can't judge an individual, you have to judge, you can't judge a whole race, you have to judge the individual. And there's more to it than that. I mean, as I said, I was visited by a female reptilian. I'm also very close with Nancy Tremaine, who she's a well-known experiencer. She just released her second book, and she is basically, her story is the reintroduction of reptilians to humanity, because the main extraterrestrial that she had contact with was a reptilian who she called Mr. And Nancy and I have experienced extreme things together that can only be considered as quantum entanglement. And a lot of the stories in her second book are the experiences that happened with her, both her and I. But the other crazy thing about it, because I know that they chose Nancy for a reason, and she loves Mr. very much, but Nancy and I, both of us, our eyes both turned green the summer of 2018. We can't explain it. It's like these crazy synchronicities that have happened with her and I, and all of a sudden that we discovered that both of us, our eyes turned green. And I had asked Elizabeth April about it too, and say, why do my eyes turn green? I feel like I'm supposed to ask you this. And she said, because you're accepting your reptilian heritage. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So that's how you come to, to accept things in your life from multiple circumstances and multiple things that take place, to then just be able to sit with it and just sit with it and absorb it. And as I said, it's come from multiple sources, and there's cross-referencing back and forth to to understand that this is real, this is what's happening, and so to accept myself for the multidimensional beings that we are, because we've done this many times. We've done it many times, and we've been in multiple lives at different points, gaining experiences as incarnate souls, in soul evolution. And of course, it's possible that some of us have been, reptilian. But it's not just, related to, one species. I also know that I have connections to mantis. And that was also through Elizabeth April too, that we have this crazy synchronicity of mantis. And because she was sent to the future and she met her future self as a mantis. And when I was put under hypnosis for the first time, and my hypnotist, the last thing she did was take me to the far future to see what I would see. And I went to the future and I was met by these three mantid beings. And at that time, I didn't even know what mantis were. I didn't even know they existed. They just look like grays, like Jurdy, but with, insect eyes, and they were taller and they looked like praying mantises. There was three of them. And they were saying that your mission's over, and they handed me this ball of light, and I put this ball of light to my mouth, and all of a sudden my eyes just expand, and I become back one with source again, recycled. And that's the last memory I have of my existence. So I know somewhere in the future I have connections to mantis, because it would be 3 months after I was put under hypnosis that I was watching a presentation by Susie Hansen talking about being on the ships, and she was talking about the mantid beings, and she drew a picture of the mantid and held it up, and I went, "Oh my God, they do exist." That's what I saw when I was under hypnosis. I was like, "This is crazy. I didn't even know they existed. That's real." So how come when I'm under hypnosis, I see this, and then all of a sudden I realize they're real? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So my life has been pretty crazy. I forget about this stuff, and I think about it later on, going, "That's whack."
Oh, I can relate, believe me. I have so many memories. And yes, I've had praying mantis too visit me. Just 2 days ago, there was one. He was trying to hide. It was a younger guy with curly black hair, really, really tall. And he was trying to hide his lip. And I'm like, "Let me see your lip." And finally he showed me, and it was like if it had a cut in the middle, but it was like over, like a huge lip, like that, like pointy. And he's really tall, and he's like, "Come on, let's go to the ocean." And then but it's weird because that the next day is when I had the memory of being surrounded with the dolphins and swimming with them and things like that. They feel so rubbery, like I just feel like, I know I'm part of them, and it's just very special. The mantids, I've also seen the ships, and I've also seen them here when I was driving about a few years ago, and I even took pictures. It was like little egg drops, and there's many species. I've also been remote viewed by the ant beans. Like the ant beans, I really don't like that much. It's kind of weird. They're kind of weird. I don't know. They like to remote view me a lot, and I don't like that, But yeah, I feel like we have been here reincarnate so many times, but to me, I'm gonna go home this time. How do you feel? Do you feel you're gonna come back, or are you gonna go home this time?
I'm going home.
Good. Yeah, I feel like we're here having our trying to find our family, which to me our dragon family, because we've been here long ago fighting the battles, and we died here as dragons, and now we're reemerging and we're finding our family. So to me, I'm very happy that I met you also today, because I'm collecting, we'll say, my dragon family, and it just feels so beautiful and real. Well, I know it's real. It's just, because so many people are stuck in the matrix, and they're stuck in their mundane life that, and I just want to shake everybody up and wake them up and say, you're someone special. You're not just here to buy things and be awake, and be an experiment. Wake up and find out who you really are.
Didn't realize that you makes me feel so good. Find family.
Yes, family. One moment, Kevin, my daughter just came in. Let me just give her a hug real quick, okay? Sorry. Sorry, she just moved out. She has a wonderful job, and I hardly see her, and I'm really proud of her. So, and it's her birthday coming up this month, so just had to say hi real quick.
Oh.
But yes, So I first heard a little bit about you when you were on Penny Bradley's show, and um, it's just amazing how, okay, so how did you figure out how to make this song for her? Was it in a dream? Like, you don't, I know you talked about like how, all this, but how is it that you kind of like wrote it for her, like for her to, you gave her permission to use it and all that stuff? How is it? What's your connection with her? I want you to say it so that way people can also go to Penny Bradley's show and see the interview there.
Well, it's quite an amazing synchronicity because my friend who channels with the tall white, he and I have been friends for many years, and he's actually the one who introduced me to Sandia. Okay, and then it just happened to be like I also know that he it was a former former secret space program. He was in the secret space program, but he doesn't talk about it. He keeps it very under wraps. And I just happened to be doing a radio interview on Janet Lesson and Sasha Lesson's show, Aquarian Radio, and I was being interviewed along with Penny Bradley. And then Penny Bradley was going on about the secret space program and stuff like that, and I just happened to interject and say, God, this sounds just like my friend such and such, because he talks about the same experience. And then she went, you know such and such? He and I served together. I'm like, really? And she says, yes, he was my superior officer. And so then I go talk to my friend and I say, do you know Penny Bradley?
I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Together. Yeah, and it's like this is crazy. And so then all of a sudden, it's just like, I became really close with Penny. And we actually went on a vacation. My buddy and I, we met up with her and Louie, and in Las Vegas. We had an amazing time and grew really close together. But I had already written the song Nafuapan before I had met her. So I knew about the Secret Space program. I wanted to dedicate a song to her. And so the song had already come together. I already had the song. I just needed the melody to go to the song. And so I came across that melody I didn't realize that it was going to be tonal language, which just blew me away. But what Penny likes about the song Nafuapan is I got the inspiration from that song from the German metal band Rammstein. So it was one of Rammstein's songs, which became like the foundation for this song. And you have to understand, there's elements to a lot of Rammstein's music as to why it's very popular. It's because it's marching music. If you listen to their stuff, the beats and the guitar, you can hear a marching band playing to it, and a lot of as Penny put it, a lot of German music that she heard up in Nafuapan is marching band music. And so that's why it works so well as the song Nafuapan, is because you can march to it if you listen to the song. It's marching music. It's perfect marching.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I was also in Nafuapan, so I can relate with the marching music. And even here, like if I'm, in the past, when I did the football games or whatever, when the marching comes, and it's just like it brings back memories. And then sometimes the guys will share, some German marching music on Facebook, and I just tear up. It's just very special.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's my connection with Penny, and then I got to hang out with her, and we ended up watching Iron Skies 1 and 2, while we were there, and she's explaining the whole movie about how this is real, this part's real, this is inspired by this. I got a huge history lesson the entire time we were hanging out, that I was so exhausted. It was like getting a brain surgery course over a weekend, listening to her and my friend talking about the SSP.
I've learned so much from her. She's very inspiring. you know, I met her finally and I cried a lot. I saw the dragon, beautiful dragon that she is.
Hey, Carl?
I met Lou. I just,
Yeah,
when I saw her coming up, you know, I've said this story many times, but when I saw her, you know, I had left, walked into my room there at the West Gate because we were getting ready for the conference just in March. And I was minding my own business, and then here comes Lou and Penny in the wheelchair, and all I see is a bright white light. I'm like, oh my God. I stopped. And then she's, you know, she stood up, give me a hug. I go, don't stand up, you don't have to stand up. But it's just beautiful, you know, they're both very beautiful beings. And then Lou was brushing her hair like the day before we had to leave, a few days later, and her eyes, you know, when she put her hair back like that, and her eyes, I saw her eyes, I saw her, and I fell to the floor. I got on my knees and I'm like, oh my God, it is you. I said, it is you. I know you. Like, it's just beautiful. She's very inspiring. She's very smart too. Like, if I have questions, I mean, anytime I can just message her or whatever. I visited her in her home in California a few months ago, and yeah, I'm very telepathic with her too, and I'm very appreciative of her. Like I said, I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning.
yeah, it amazes me her knowledge, like what she knows, because she knows so much about so many things. It's like she's like a walking Webster's diction or Webster's encyclopedia.
Encyclopedia,
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, there you go.
I know. So do you, I don't know, do you want to tell one more story before we go? And then I would love to have you on again, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'd love to go.
I know it's late
There's,
for you over there.
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, geez, what could I say? What could I talk about that's really inspiring? Um, I could tell you a funny story,
Yeah.
a Ponte funny story. So it was I attended the Ozark UFO conference back in 2017, I think it was, and I was there supporting Nancy Tremaine because she was the guest speaker. There was a huge deal. And I knew that the Ponte were actually hanging out in Ozark. You know, they were hanging out at the conference, so we were there because I was getting messages back from Sue Walker. And so I knew that they were there, and I was really hoping to be able to see them. You know, I hoped that their ship would show up or something like that. And nothing actually happened. But it would be about a week after I came back from the convention that all of a sudden I had this flash memory. And I remembered because I had stayed with a friend and we rented this motel room that had two rooms. It had a bedroom and then it had a party room next door to it. And in the party room, it had a long couch, it had a love seat and a sofa. And all of a sudden, like I slept on the sofa, and I remember all of a sudden this memory of radar jumping up and down on the end of the sofa where my feet was, saying, get up, party time, party time. And I'm thinking, where am I having this memory from? And so I messaged Sue Walker and I said, I just got this flash memory of this. Does this mean anything? And then all of a sudden, radar, it was radar, it was radar who was talking because Sue was doing the translations, and it was radar, my buddy Radar. And he said, dude, yeah, we got together, we laughed, we partied, and you snorted tea out your nose. When do you want to do it again? And it's when he said, snorted tea out your nose, when all of a sudden the memory flashback came back. And it was like watching a movie trailer. All of a sudden, I saw this whole thing take place, and it was a memory trigger. And what had happened was that radar, it was radar, and it was Tilcom, and it was Drudy. They had come to visit me in our bedroom later that evening, and they threw a tea party for me. And I remember seeing Radar sitting on the love seat right across from me, and Tilcom was right next to him. And then Jordy's on my right side here. And I remember hearing their voices telepathically in my head. I remember how loud their voices were. Like it was really loud. Like it's like having a speaker inside your head. I remember what Radar's voice sounded like, and his voice sounded like a cross between Kevin Spacey and oh, I forget the other actor's name. Anyway, very very similar voice, and Telcom, his voice sounds like oh Anthony Hopkins. And so Tolkien was telling a story about something that Radar did, where he was like trying to hot rod his skipper ship, and something went wrong, and he's running around in the hangar bay calling for help. And then all of a sudden, this voice interrupted Tilcom, and it said in a very deep voice, "Brinkman," and it was Brinkman. And you have to understand that Brinkman is actually a nickname that me and another Ponte, whose name is Grayson, we gave that nickname to Radar, because Radar happens to do a lot of things that are on the boundaries of like brinkmanship, like just on the boundary of like dangerous. And so we just gave him the name Brinkman to shorten it, you know. And I knew that from people who had told me that Grayson has a deep voice. And I found out firsthand because he was actually standing behind me and I didn't even see him in the room. And then he spoke and said Brinkman, and his voice was so deep that he sounded like Leonard Nimoy, like Spock. And I'm thinking, mind you, this is the entire memory coming back. I remembered all this in detail, even remembering what I was thinking at the time. And I was thinking, when did Spock come in the room? And I thought, Grayson. And then I turned to look, and I saw Grayson looking at, he's at the wall, and he looked over to see if I recognized him. And I was taken with so much surprise, and I had taken a mouthful of tea at that time, and I snorted tea out my nose. I was in such shock and surprise and laughing. I snorted tea out my nose all over Radar.
That's hilarious.
And they're laughing. They're laughing so hard. I'm laughing so hard. And Radar is literally, if you can imagine, Zeta, he's laughing, snorting himself off the couch like this, and he's sliding down the couch and he's snorting, right? And I'm just laughing so hard I can't control myself, because not only this, I also remember the feeling that I had when I was with them, and they were sharing this, what they call a telepathic hug of light. I felt their emotions. It was this feeling of unconditional love, camaraderie, friendship, complete bliss, complete joy. It was like being like born again, or like dying.
And rainbow colors, right? I see the rainbow colors, like stars.
Like white light. It was like white light. If you can imagine, like, the movie E.T., the extraterrestrial, when his chest is glowing, that is visually what it feels like inside your body. It's this hug of light of this. It's the most incredible feeling I ever felt in my life. And I never wanted to leave them. I never wanted to leave them, because I felt so amazing being with them. It was the most incredible joy I ever felt in my life. It's like being in the best party of your life and you're not even drinking, if you can imagine. It was just incredible. And so then Radar, he finishes laughing, and he's looking at me, and then he says, because I had snorted tea all over him, he said, "You know what? I've never seen one of you guys do that before. That's so cool." And then I didn't know what to think. I'm laughing so hard again. Because the response that came from him was not what I was expecting. Everyone else is laughing their butts off too at what he just said. And so when we finally come together, because we're just laughing, it's just like you have like an uncontrollable laughter that you just can't. It just gets more and more wilder and wilder. And so then I'm staring at him, and I couldn't let him have the last word. And I said, I'm kind of leaning there and I'm looking at him. I said, you know, Radar, you're the first ET I've ever seen snort before. So I guess we're even. And then everybody just cracked howled again, you know. It's just so amazing. Just, I'll never forget it. But they allowed me to remember that moment because it took them by such surprise. And apparently, I don't know what recording devices they have, but they have it recorded too. And they've watched it a few times. So
I love it. That is so cool.
there
Thank
you go. There's the story.
Yeah, some ETs that I've dealt with, oh gosh, they're hilarious. It's like, and I just love them, you know. I'm very appreciative of learning from them and things like that. I know there's some that are not, you know, good, and we have to be careful because some people in the love and light community think that they're all good, you know, and they're not. So I think that's where our intuition comes in, and just trusting ourselves and being able to have friends like the friends that you have, you know, and I have. Just I really I love it because I don't have to feel so alone anymore here, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that they came to you also, you know, like when they were touching you as well, to just say, I'm here, you know, you're not alone. And I think that's very important, you know.
It is because um, a star seed's life is a very lonely life because you can't really share that with other people. I mean, can I date other women? That's not going to happen. I mean, honestly, let's be realistic here. You know, how many women are going to want to date some guy who has the experiences that I do? And the majority of women are not experiencers. And then, any experiencers that you meet, they live, far away. So, we're isolated. So, it's just not going to happen. So it's nice that they actually come and visit and, and come and reassure me that, that you're not forgotten about, that we do care about you. And I've had lots of visitations from other Star Nation women. I've had many. I mean, there was one time where I put out a telepathic message saying, please, I just want to, visit. I just want to visit by someone who we know each other. We have some kind of connection. And I had 2 visitations from 2 different Star Nation women that week, and it was just wild. I mean, one of them, as I said, once again, I was not awake. I was not asleep. I was in this altered state. And I remember feeling this energy, this blue wave going through my body. And I felt this feminine peacefulness, this loving, caring person. And then I felt this hand resting on my hand. She was just gently touching my arm, and I hear this voice saying, it's me. And then she just kind of just went away. And who says it's me? Obviously we know each other. And it's things like that just make me realize that I'm living a double life of memories that are suppressed, of people who I've met in altered states, or maybe a past life. I don't know, but these things are happening. And I had another visitation from an Arcturian woman. Her name is Flaley, and she has blue skin, and she's Arcturian people, so she's a blend. And she visited me in an altered state too, in an altered dream. But it was not a dream, because she actually paralyzed me when I was still awake, and I actually was physically choking. And then she had to release me enough so I could actually tilt my head back so I wouldn't choke on the back of my tongue. And then once I was okay, then she basically yanked me back under into that lucid dream state. And then she popped out from under the covers like, hi, surprise, it's me. And like, who does that? It's like, he was like, apparently we know each other, and she was so excited, like, surprise, it's me. I'm like, wow. And she had blue skin, she had a large head, She had these amber cat eyes. She was gorgeous. She was young, energetic, like in her 20s. She had this amazing laugh, and she was all smiles, you know, and it's just like, wow. And that wasn't the, I had two visits from her. The one that was that time, and then it was like about 3 months ago, she actually brought me up to her ship in my astral body. Boom, I'm up in the ship in my astral body. And I see her on the ship, and then she gave me a hug.
I love it. I've had a family transform. Okay, so they were human. There's one young lady. She has long, like black hair, and then she went to the side, and then her husband shows up. He's like a blonde, and he's holding a baby, and they transformed into felines. Beautiful lions. Oh my God. But they're like humanoid lions. They're the good, I call them my good Lyrian family. I have so many lions that take care of me in my astral as well. I've taken pictures of my curtain in the past, and the lions are there. My two kids are Leos. I just love the way they just transformed, you know, and they told me pretty much, we're here to protect you. Don't fear. Not only do I have dragons, I have werewolves, I have lions, I have dolphins. I'm very protected. I mean, we all are, obviously, but it's just beautiful to see that. And another thing that I want to say is, I can also, like, if I make it a plan with someone else to say, hey, I'm going to go visit you tonight, they have seen my eyes. Some of them get scared because I'm in their face. I don't mean to be, but they agreed, hey, I want to see you in the astral. I'm like, okay, are you sure? And so I can do that too. I can shapeshift. My eyes always shapeshift. My eyes turn green as well.
Yeah.
So that's part of the dragon thing. That's part of the hybrid that we are. But yeah, I can say, hey, I'm going to go visit you in the form of a dragon. Or I'm going to, because I'm also Sheila the She-Hulk, or I'm going to be my Hulk, but be careful, don't get too scared, you know? I have many altars that I can go into, or just be myself. So yeah, that's one thing that I really do like to do, is visit my friends, you know, or we'll say, or I'll tell them, hey, meet me at my ship. Sometimes I'll have to go to my sarcophagus because I'm in so much pain, you know, here in the physical. But have you also done that? Like, you know, visited your friends that way? Any experiences like that?
I visited in the astral realm. That one time, that was one time. I mean, I've had six times where I astral traveled, but I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't until I started researching these symptoms and what I was experiencing to realize that I had astral traveled. So that was pretty damn wild. So I started taking a course on astral travel to learn the techniques and how to do it properly, and how to, you know, how to do it. And then I was successful actually stepping out of a dream, wrapping myself up in a cocoon of white light, and then stepping out of the dream and then into the astral world, and then flying away. So that was pretty wild when I learned how to do that. But it takes practice to you know, to work yourself into the astral realm, and doing the right protocols to protect yourself. You're okay. But yeah, I got to get back into it.
Yes. What I do is I learn to, I mean, you can do the gold white light and the violet light. That's what I do. But another step that I do is just a paste, like a white paste that is like gooey and warm and just all over my body. And all I can see really is my eyes then. And then I go. Then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Either I'll fly, like I said, like an eagle. I'll see an eagle's eyes and I'll go in there. Or I'll say, okay, I'm going to go downstairs, outside, to the water, to the ocean. And then, of course, you know, there's a bar there. You can, you know, be with your friends, or you can just travel through the many gates to other planets. That's what I like to do. So
Wow.
it's just an idea of the white paste, the white glittery goo. I really do love it. It's very protective. The first time that I saw it was actually on my dragon because I have, like I said, I have two protectors, right? Archangel Lucifer and Michael. And then I have my 6 dragons that are my higher self that protect me. I asked them, I said, I want to see you, in the astral. And so I finally was able to see I have one female, the other 5 are males. And she was the female one. And she was in this glow, like glitter white, kind of pasty, sticky, but very, and she was grunting. She was like, but she wasn't mad. It's just that's what she does. And right behind her was my middle sister. So she also protects my middle sister, which I haven't told her because my family's kind of like, you know, they're kind of stuck in the matrix right now, unfortunately. But I can only say certain things to certain, family members. So, but yeah. Well, Kevin, I am gonna let you go for now, but I really, really enjoyed our talk. I would love to have you on again if you don't mind. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
thank you, because I know you have many, many more experiences. And
I was wondering, how did you see my dragon? How did you see that from how far away? How could you see that?
I see, I see things. I can jump in the astral and go see you right now. No, I'm not gonna, scare you or nothing like that. But yeah, I love your dragon. It's beautiful. And so how can people get a hold of you, and where are you? Do you
Way
have
to get a
yeah,
what
like
am
if they want to ask questions or they want to just say hi or send you, money. You never know.
Well, they can do all of that in the same place, pyramidsonmars.com. That's the best place to get a hold of me is pyramidsonmars.com. There's a little section, one of the pages. If you want to contact me, you can email me directly off my website there. I also have a Patreon account there as well. Any donations definitely help me a long way. All my music is available at my website. Whether you want to purchase a physical CD or digital, just click on the links there. There's also links to my music videos and all my other radio interviews that I've done, and there's like hundreds of them in there, at least 60 in the UFO realm, and then magazine reviews galore in another one. And then there's a link to my guitar neck illusions DNA double helix. That's the decoration that's on my guitar neck. That was a download from a dream as well. That became reality, and that's a long story too. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, pyramidsonmars.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, pyramidsonmars.com, or just Kevin Estrella, either way.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Today, I appreciate you being on again, and have a great night. I appreciate you. Thank you. Love
Awesome.
you, brother. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Kate.
Bye.
Love you, girl. We'll see you.